Hello, welcome to Life with Love. This is my very first video, so be gracious to me if I stumble over my words or anything like that. So this is summer, okay, first week of summer, and I am a third grade teacher. During the school year is pretty busy, but I'm going to take this time to kind of recap what happened this year, how we ended the year well, and how I've kind of learned over my 3 years of teaching how to do it, how to kind of improve. I hope this is helpful for those first year teachers who are nervous or need to find tools on how to improve your teaching. I'm by no means a perfect teacher. Teaching is something that you kind of live and learn in the moment. But these are going to be some things I wished I'd known when I was my first year teaching. So just a little recap. First year teaching, I helped in a pre-K classroom in the kind of spring 2019, and then COVID hit, so then of course that kind of shut things down. And then the next year I was a first grade teacher for a year, and continuing the COVID 2020 year. So that was really not, I didn't end with kids in the classroom, so it wasn't like I had to have classroom management or figure out, okay, what are we going to do, what are we going to clean, how are we going to schedule things. So it really was my second year, last year, where I did my first end of the year day where we had all the awards and everything, and that was a good year. It ended well, but I think that there's ways that I've found to kind of improve, make things more of a cherishing my kids and providing structure so that it's a day of peace and ending the year well. So not to say that I didn't end it well last year, but I think this year I just felt really blessed in how it ended and felt like it was a good farewell to the students that I've taught all year. So if you haven't noticed, I've talked about blessed and stuff like that. I am a Christian. That's going to influence this video and my channel. Even if you're not a Christian, I welcome you to stay. There's lots of things that you can learn from it. So this year I finished my second year of teaching third grade. I love third grade. It's awesome. But again, I want to focus on how I ended the year by cherishing my kids and how I ended my year by providing structure. I know for a first year teacher, structure is something that you want, okay? It's good to have flexibility, but to have structure so that the kids feel like, yes, know what they're supposed to do and be able to have a clear point of line of knowing where to go and what to do next. That's going to create peace and structure in your classroom. So kind of what the day looked like this year. We started out, I teach at a Christian school, so we started out, I told my kids to put their backpacks away and grab their Bibles. We started out with a chapel. So we sang songs, and then I led the chapel. Sometimes other weeks the other teachers would lead chapel, but it was my turn to lead. So we ended up talking about time and how to use time well. I think that's something that everybody can grow in, especially during the summer when you have less structure. But that's kind of an idea of what I talked about. I'm not going to go into detail about all of the chapel things. And then, so that lasted from 8:10 to 8:45-ish. Normally it's kind of a little bit longer, but I ran out of things to say, so it was a little shorter. Then we went into the classroom. I immediately gave them instructions of grabbing their offices because we had a couple of tests, tests at the end of the year, but they were really kind of simple tests that we did. I had them spelling tests, I had them do multiple choice spelling tests, and I kind of made it a little bit easy just so that I didn't want them stressing out on their last day of school. So that was really good. While they were taking that, I had them also saying their memory verse to me. Excuse me. I had them saying their memory verse to me. And so that kind of was a multitask, got them busy in the mindset of, yes, there's still structure today. We're still going to be doing stuff, even though it's the last day of school. So I entered the grades real quickly while they were finishing up, and most of them actually had already finished the multiple choice spelling test, so I told them to flip over the page and start coloring. One thing I learned with teaching is that you always need to think the next step ahead of them, okay? Giving them something to do instead of letting them figure out, because it might not necessarily be what you want them to be doing. So, that being said, they were coloring, enjoying that. So when everybody else was done, I was entering the grades and got that submitted on grade card so that the front desk can submit it for their grades. And then we graded our spelling test. I called out the answers. Sorry, I had some allergies earlier. We called out the answers, or I called out the answers of the A, B, C option. And normally I don't have the kids grade their tests, but this time I was like, it's at the end of the year. I trust my kids. They're pretty honest. So I had them grade themselves, and then I had their heads put down. And then I just pulled 10 of the words out of the 20. So I had their hands up, and they went ahead and showed me how many they got right. So most of them got 10s, some of them got 9s, so it was a pretty good test. Then at that time we did our awards. So end of the year, it's a good idea to have awards of like what you've seen them, their strengths. I like to have like award, like a title of the award, and then have like a description down below, just so that kind of gets it a little bit more personal instead of, okay, you got the best handwriting award. Why did you get that? So we did that, and actually some of the kids are like, can you say that again? I want to hear what that someone else's like description on the bottom. So they really enjoyed that. It kind of makes it more of an intimate, like I know you kind of event. Then after that, it was a little bit earlier. Actually, it was about a half an hour earlier than what I thought it was going to take. So I decided, you know what? I was going to have them clean out their desks and everything after recess, at our 10 o'clock recess after that. But since it was 9:30, I decided, well, you know what? We're going to grab our backpacks. We're going to empty the content. So it was one task that they had to do. And then they were getting that backpack out of the room so it didn't seem cluttered or claustrophobic. And then once they had it lined up outside the room, they're going to line on up. And I think this really helps students in breaking it apart one task at a time, just so that they're not overwhelmed. Because I've definitely noticed that some students, they can only have one task at a time. Otherwise they get lost and they get a little bit like, what do I do next? So it kind of alleviated that stress of, I have 10 things to do all at once. Nope, just clean out your desk. You don't even have to worry about wiping it down. Just put the stuff inside of your backpack. So then we used the restroom, and by then it was about 10, maybe a little bit before 10. So we used the restroom, and they like to play a game called Animal Game while they're waiting for their classmates to get done. So basically how that works is that you pick the quietest person, or you come up with an animal, sorry. You come up with an animal, you give 3 facts about the animal, or 3 hints, and then you pick the quietest person to guess what your animal is. After 3 students guessing, then you go ahead and reveal that animal if no one guessed yet. And so that was a fun one. We don't always get to do that game because I like to do the quiet game because that tends to keep them a little bit more quiet. The animal game does a good job, but sometimes they get excited and they forget that they're supposed to be quiet in the hall. Alright, so then after that, after the bathroom break and the animal game, we went ahead and we're going to go outside for recess, but then it was sprinkling on us, so we kind of looped around and went into the gym for recess for a little bit. And then it ended up the kindergarten teacher was in there as well with a couple of students. They had, I think, kindergarten promotion, so there wasn't that many kids left because most of them left with their parents. But that was a really sweet time. It was one of the moms, teacher / one of my kiddos' moms, so that was kind of fun to kind of finish the year being able to talk to her. As teaching, you'll probably notice that you won't have much time. You'll have some time to talk to teachers, but me being a 3rd grade teacher, we kind of were on different halls, so we didn't really run into each other quite as often as we normally do, or I wish we would, at least. Alright, and by that time of the day, I was nervous. I was like, well, we're already doing a lot of things that we've already planned on doing later in the day. So I gave them a little bit more time for recess just to kind of enjoy the day, just to take it a little by little. So we ended up having, we normally have a 15-minute recess, but it was a little bit, probably 25 to 30 minutes of recess. Sorry, my voice is a little bit hoarse. Okay, so we ended up enjoying recess, having some time just to play Foursquare and all sorts in volleyball. I actually hadn't ever played volleyball before that I know of in the gym, so that's kind of fun to see that, them kind of exploring that a little bit. Alright, and we, even though it was a half day, we were having lunch that day, so some of the kiddos forgot their lunch, and I had told them, don't worry, we'll figure it out. I didn't know how we were going to figure it out though. So when we were exiting the gym, the Lost and Found was on display for them, and I just told them to look through, see if you can find any of your items if you lost anything. And during that time, our wonderful lunch person was setting out the stuff, and I told them, I told the kids that had forgotten, I said, if you forgot your lunch, there's some chips over there, there's some fruit, let's go ahead and grab those. And since he heard us talking about that, he said, hey, there's extra food, so we were able to make sure that those students were feeling supported and able to have the food that they needed to eat. And so they grabbed that, and then we headed back to the room. By that time, it was around 10:30. Some of the students were needing to use the bathroom again. I don't know, I've just noticed that sometimes on exciting days, kids just need to use the bathroom a little bit more, which I get. When you're excited, you just have to use the bathroom more. So I'm thankful our room is across the hall, so I had the kids that needed to use the bathroom get a drink. They could do that. And then I went ahead and had the kids that didn't need to go ahead and sit down. And so they were sitting down, and once enough kids were in the classroom, I went ahead and started pulling out wet wipes and letting them wipe down. I told them, wipe down the inside of your desk, the outside, and your chair. So while they were doing that, I kind of walked around still pulling out the wet wipes. But something I've noticed with teaching, it works best to give them quick instructions that are very specific and then just let them do what you expect them to do. Talking over them is not really a good thing. It doesn't it doesn't allow for conversations to happen when there's downtime. Basically, this is a downtime of just cleaning and having a fun time together. So I just made sure to let them have their time, have their moment. They did a really good job. They wiped underneath their chairs. They did so much better than I would expect them to. And so then, as students were finishing up, they were like, "Miss, what are we gonna do? Like, what's the next thing?" And so at the beginning of the day, last minute, I don't know, I'm so thankful God gave me this idea. I've seen people do sticky notes for, like, at church, they'll have like a event that they need stuff, and people can just take that sticky note home for like goldfish, and then buy that goldfish and make sure that they get that for the event. I had written down sticky notes of things that needed to happen in the classroom that were individual jobs, and I had them on the board. And their job was to, once they're like, "What should I do? I'm done with my work." I went ahead and said, "You know what? Go ahead and check the board and see if there's any jobs that you'd like to do." I feel like if I hadn't done that, I would have been a lot more frantic and realizing, okay, you need to sharpen the pencils, and that wouldn't have been as peaceful. I feel like with that gave them the option to pick out a job that they really enjoy. One of them was organizing I have a game cabinet, and I feel like if I had given it to one student that doesn't like organizing, that cabinet wouldn't have been organized well. But the students that love organizing, they could pick that job and they would do it well. I had sharpened pencils, wiped down. We have cubbies for each of the backpacks. So I had multiple sticky notes for the cubbies because I knew that was a big job. And just basically cleaning out the classroom. And that gave me time when they needed specific instruction on, okay, let's go ahead and clean the cubbies again. The bottom part didn't get cleaned. It saves me from having to talk lots of times and focus more on the details. I also had them, another job was count the books in the library. That was one of my check mark list of checkout for myself. So giving them that job was awesome. It helped me out quite a bit. But it's amazing how much they really enjoyed that, and that was something that brought them a lot of joy. Just think of babies, how you hear that people say babies love toys that aren't toys, like an actual set of keys or a water bottle that's the mom's water bottle. That's the same with third graders. They love to feel like they are accomplished and know what to do. So we had that. That was great. I actually added to the list of things when they ran out of things to do, but that gave them a good start. And then, let's see, what else happened? Then, as kind of time went by, it turned into 11 o'clock. Kids started kind of just sitting down, talking, getting in groups and talking, which I was really amazed how well they used their time well. Sometimes I know with third grade it's easy to want to run around the room and get all energized, but I think it was structured enough that they were focused enough that they were able to get their job done and then feel like, you know what, I can just sit and talk. Because third graders love talking, but I feel like sometimes they want to, at recess, it's time to run around, so then they forget that, oh yeah, I can spend some time talking. So I feel like that was a time where they felt cherished, but also had structure too. They felt like they were accomplished. Think about yourself. You like getting stuff done, right? So, and they're the same way. All right, so again, it was 11 o'clock. We normally eat around 11:20, but I was like, well, we're ready for lunch. Let's go ahead and eat. So we get the kids that had lunch from the school. They got it off the counter and took it to their seat. And I had not prepared a slideshow. I had never done that before, but one of the other teachers was getting one together in the morning. I didn't have time for that, but I decided to play You've Got a Friend in Me by Toy Story, or whoever sings it, I forget who, but you know, right. So then we played that, and then I had a app where we had all the classroom pictures that I'd shared to the families, and I went from beginning of the year to the end of the year, kind of slid. It's kind of like Facebook and how you can slide it up, or we slid it down instead, and looked through the pictures, and they loved that. That gave them something to do while they were eating, and it was just honestly a really blessed time to hear them say, oh, I remember that. Look how little so-and-so looks. He looks so little compared to what he is now. So it's kind of fun to see that happen. In that moment, I felt like they were very cherished. I was able to laugh with them and have time where during the school year, yes, we did laugh and have fun time, but we also had curriculum that we had to get done. So this was something that we were able to just enjoy the moment and let it, however long it took, to let it take. All right, and then at the end, we went ahead and had their time of allowing to share what they enjoyed, what was their favorite part. And a lot of it, we had a technology party on Wednesday because it was like a jar, marble jar, whatever. I call it Love Jar just because my last name. So Love Jar party. And so a lot of them said that, but then we also had like a Pizza Hut field trip where we celebrated memorizing our multiplication cards. So a lot of them said that. I forget of the other ones, but yeah, it was a lot of fun to hear what their favorite part of the year was. By that point, we went ahead and went to recess a little bit early. We went to the gym. Normally we have recess together, but one of the class went to the back patio, and then we had the gym to ourselves. But honestly, that was a sweet time because sometimes when all the classes together, it's a little bit not as much room for them to play, so they could spread out and do whatever they want. And I'm realizing that I'm sharing all the highlights, but that day wasn't perfect per se. By this point, they were kind of getting tired. They just were like ready for summer. So there was a little bit of arguing, but for the most part, they loved just hanging out with each other. I think Foursquare can be a little bit, that's not out, that's not in kind of thing, but for the most part, they played really well together. Just a little bit of solving conflicts. And then by that time, we had a little bit longer recess, but then I was like, you know what, it's time to, let's go ahead and line up and head to our room. So by then it was about 15 minutes before dismissal, and I had them sit in their desk. Right away I gave them instructions, sit at their desk, and then we, just to make it easy for the janitor, I had them scoot their desk all over to the hard floor instead of on the carpet so she could vacuum quickly. But I did this one student at a time. When we went into the classroom, there was one student that loves to kind of lead the class discussion a little bit. And so since he had that space and time to do that, I was like, you know what, this is awesome. They're all listening to him. He was telling a joke or a riddle or something, I forget what. But had them each bring their desk one at a time over to this the hard floor. And then stack their chair. And once they stack their chair, go line up again where we normally line up, but sit down. So they have a specific place to go. And then by the end, I wanted to kind of end the year well. So I had little booklets that one of the parents had graciously given, and I had bookmarks for the summer reading program. So I passed those out, and then we played a quick little telephone game, and I said, our school's third grade is awesome. And so that was passed on, and they actually did a pretty good job. They said our school is awesome. They left out the third grade part. But then by then it was time to dismiss and time to say goodbye. And I just at the end, driving up to our vacation spot, I was thinking about how I felt like the year ended well. Last year it ended okay, but definitely there's been areas where it's grown, and I thought this might be helpful for first year teachers, kind of figuring out how to structure your classroom at the end. Obviously each class is going to be a little bit different, but this kind of gives you an idea of what that looks like and how you might be able to implement things. I know as a teacher myself, the best way I learn is by observing people that I know well. And books are good, but that's not how I learn, I feel. And I learn better by saying, okay, this works, and this is why it works. So hopefully this is helpful to you. I might be doing more videos just about life or teaching, so stay posted. So hopefully this is a blessing. Let me know what kind of videos you would like to see more of. I have curly hair. You can't see this, but I might be doing some curly hair videos, maybe just normal life, devotional videos, so you'll see what comes out. So, alright, well, good to talk to you guys. I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. So have a blessed day.